that the ways in which blackness will be the face, but the people we making rich is never going to be us. And it's a parasitic relationship that goes back to colonialism. It goes back to interpreting blackness as the laborers, as the things that make others money. Knowing that this is like not only happening in one country, but it's happening global. It's upsetting me and my homegirls.
Sometimes it don't make no sense. Does it really have to?
Hi, welcome to Mayowa's world. Hi everyone, my name is Mayowa, and I know in my last video I said I wanted to have my next video be something, you know, not so charged, a little bit more soft. But then I decided I want problems. I don't want peace. Yeah?
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
I was like, you know what? Some of y'all was writing me like, girl, why are you trying to tone it down just to be like, you know, keep the same energy? So I was like, you know what? Why did I think that I should take a break when I need to be giving you more pom pom pom? So this video is kind of gonna be charged, but I'm gonna do it in a unique way because I feel like a lot of y'all want to know my process of how I get to talk about things. So I'm gonna tell you what my brain is doing. And today I want to talk about who is really making money off of the natural hair movement. But before I do, I want to pub myself. This video is not going to be a long video because I don't want to be hassled with closed captioning so much. But if you haven't joined my Patreon, go ahead and join my Patreon because I be giving, Patreon is a nice safe space where I can talk about my own, what's going on my insides, you know what I'm saying? The more, it gives you a different side of myself. And yes, so I have my Patreon that I have, and y'all can support my work. But okay, boom, let's get into how my brain was working, okay? So a couple days ago, I was watching Wife Swap. And one of the commercials that they make you watch, because you can't skip commercials on channel 4, which is, anyway, I was watching these commercials and I saw a picture of Uncle Ben's, the rice. Well, that's what I knew it as. It's a company. And it was the rice. And I was like, oh, you know, when I look at Uncle Ben's, it reminds me of, you know what I'm saying, my childhood. Or not my childhood, but I remember seeing it as a kid. I was like, who owns Uncle Ben's? Boom. Found out it was owned by white people, and they just got a black person to be on the cover. So I was thinking about Uncle Ben's, and then I started to think that's kind of similar like what they did with Aunt Jemima. Also another person, you know, I remember seeing her on the cover of like syrup and being like, oh, it must be owned by a black woman, you know, when I was younger, a kid or whatever. Boom, it's not owned by black people. Then that had me thinking, you know the brand Aunt Jackie's, the hair care that like, I like the branding was looking good. Googled it, and it's not owned by black people. Not only was that information kind of hard to find, because when you Google it, it tells you it's owned by some kind of group, and then I had to go and find the CEO of the group, because there's one thing your girl is good at. She's good at research. I am a research girl. I'm a hacker of social stuff. I get to the square roots of a lot of things. And then that had me thinking about how many, you know, I think a year or two ago, somebody had put a thread on Twitter about how all the hair companies that people know of, this is what the brand looks like, and this is what the CEO looks like. And I just was thinking about, you know, my last video that I had about edges, I was like, the thing that most of us use the most for slicking our edges down, I would probably say it has been Eco Styler through the past 2 decades. And Eco Styler is not owned by nobody black and was never owned by nobody black. Not to mention that Eco Styler like causes cancer, was found out recently. But it had me thinking about how like all these companies, oh my god, there's a spider. Oh. Pause. So it had me thinking about how all these hair products has essentially been owned by white people, and who a lot of times, non-blacks, let's say that. People who are making the most money off of black hair products is non-black people. And how there has always been historically, like what I learned from Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima's, there's always been a historical thing of using black people's images to sell and make money for whiteness. Like That's like always been very popular. So when we were talking about how like, oh, representation will free us, it's like we've always kind of been over, what's the word I'm looking for? Like overexploited or whatever, or overrepresented. We've always been visible because Uncle, what's it called? Uncle Ben's that, yeah. Aunt Jemima, that's been around for a minute. So I was like, you know what, this isn't new. Like this isn't new where they have like a black face for a white brand. And how like not only does this like exist within like hair care, but it just showed me that there's, you know, there's always money involved in us hating ourselves, like across the board, and and fueling off of insecurities created from colonialism, child slavery, and all of the above. And I always want to just remind myself and remind people that us making fun of people who have kinky hair fuels people who have kinky hair to perm their hair. These perm companies, a lot of these hair companies is not black owned. They create marketing that only shows people who have a certain hair type to show that this is what is desirable and what we should aim for. And then this fuels more people buying their products. And that comes down heavier on those who fall in the margins. So I just kind of wanted to show how all of that is related. But then that had me even going into a deeper question of just like, why is it normal that when it comes to blackness, it's so normal for us to not own our stuff, for other people to profit off of blackness? Either it's the image, either it's the product. It shows that we've always been extracted from. And I wanted to then link it all back because when I think about, I'm going to talk about 3 different countries because I've lived in 4 different countries. I've lived in London, England. I've lived in Germany. I lived in Atlanta. I've lived in Nigeria, right? So something I've noticed within living in these 4 countries is whenever there's blackness, like whenever there are selling black products, whatever that may be, black people never are the ones who are able to be in charge of making money. And I don't want this to be, because this video could easily be like, oh, so these white companies sell this, so let's look at the black companies that sell it to keep. But I'm not necessarily trying to, even though I think it's important to have black owned businesses, that's not necessarily like where my video is going or what I'm trying to express. I wanted to highlight the fact that we think it's normal, it's normalized for other cultures to profit off of the backs of black people. Something that I've noticed is I grew up in Atlanta. Whenever you go to a beauty supply store, right, in Atlanta, if you're from America, you probably know this. Most of the people who is in the store is black. When you talk about buying the hair, you're talking about buying the edges, buying all that stuff, is black. The people who are owning the shop in Atlanta in the US, let me just speak for Atlanta, is mainly people who are Korean or Vietnamese, right? But the people who are making the money will be black. And a lot of times, I've been followed around stores in Atlanta, right? Because anti-blackness. Boom, London. They have black hair stores, beauty supply stores. Majority of people who's black. Majority of people owning the stuff is South Asian. I've been followed around hair stores. Boom, Nigeria. A lot of the beauty industry things is also run by a lot of like Lebanese and Chinese people in Nigeria. The people who are in the store, everyone is black. They may have a black face, but the people who's making the money will be non-blacks, right? So I feel like there is this thing where we don't feel like blackness should be owned by black people. And that whenever someone says, why isn't this all black owned? Why isn't everyone who works here black? Why isn't, then people want to get into this discourse of like, we're all one, we all bleed the same. But when there's 50 white people working in a company, I don't hear that same discourse. Because I've never been into a Chinese restaurant and seen all black people owning and serving the food and making profit. I've never seen that. I've never seen no other culture that black people can completely own the whole thing and it's not considered weird. I've never seen a Polish store run by African Americans, all African Americans, but I've seen stores called Nigeria and Jamaica shops owned by non-blacks. So I just kind of realized that the ways in which blackness will be the face, but the people we make rich is never going to be us. And it's a parasitic relationship that goes back to colonialism. It goes back to interpreting blackness as the laborers, as the things that make others money. That was all I had to say because I just was really upset that we don't have this information readily available. These companies that's owned by non-blacks don't intentionally make it very clear like that it's that. They'll call things Africa Incorporated. And then it also kind of leads me into talking about gatekeeping and how people think gatekeeping is, sometimes people think gatekeeping is a negative thing. Gatekeeping literally means preserving your culture. Because if you give access to things, you know how much we've already lost to this point because things have been extracted. Like off topic, but did you know that the twist, that dance that everyone thinks is corny, originally started from black people? And I saw some videos because this girl I follow on Instagram, her name is Dahlia, and she put up this video of how black people was doing the twist, and they was really doing something. But now when you see the images, you think of it, you think of like Elvis, and like how like so much of our culture is erased in real time, and how we have people who are mad that people want to gatekeep. When it's like our culture is, everyone profits off the backs of blackness. If we talk about how whiteness and non-blackness is a gravitational pull, then everything somehow always gets there. And there's no pushback, and that makes me very uncomfortable. And I feel like more people, I don't know what the solutions are. I'm not a solution person, but I just kind of want to have everybody on the same page of knowing that this is like not only happening in one country, but it's happening global. It's upsetting me and my homegirls. It's upsetting me and my homegirls because I want a better future for us than this. This is not good. But anyway, let's get into my fits. I know it's towards the end of the video. I don't really know how to like, you know what I'm saying? But I like this top. I like green on me. I've been feeling a lot of greens and yellows recently. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, cool it down. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Let's see what I talk about next week. Let's see if it's charged. Let's see what's going on. But thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.